Hello everyone, my name is John Mundell and I'm coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana in the United States. I want to talk a little bit today about what it's like to run a company according to the economy of communion principles, and particularly how we develop relationships inside the company. The economy of communion is an initiative that's almost 30 years old now, in which companies do not focus necessarily on profits, but on the quality of relationships and how we do business in order to bring about a more just and fair economy. We've done a lot of work in the last 30 years in trying to alleviate poverty with using the profits of the businesses. So anyway, I want to talk briefly about what it's like to develop these relationships inside a company. First of all, the economy of communion, in the economy of communion, we focus on internal relationships, a person-centered kind of approach where it really is the people that drive the business and not necessarily just the objective of profits. And what you find is that many times you can get obsessed with the business of business instead of the people part of the business. And we found that if you focus on the people part, the rest of the business kind of comes along with it. So let's give you some examples here. First of all, I've got something called the company cube we developed a few years ago, where we have different sayings on each side of the cube and we roll it and try to live those each day. So I'm going to start out with this, talk about build relationships every day. One of the first things you think about is some big things, right? Okay, what am I going to do to build a relationship? Well, it really comes down to, the small things every day, making those choices, not so dramatic in everything you do in business, whether that's helping a person at a copier or helping them with a small project. Any small action is something that it has worthwhile value. And when can you do this? You can only do this each moment of the day, right? You can't think about it in the future. You can't live in the future. You can't live in the past. So it's part of that living the present moment in business. And so, what's the first part of this? How do we look at this? Well, on the company cube, we have something. I think I can find it here. And it is this saying that says, value every person, every idea. Yeah, that may seem obvious to you, but in many businesses, people like the secretary or the FedEx person or some of the lowest people you consider in the company may not have as much value as they should. So this is an idea that everyone matters. Everyone from the people who take out your trash every day in the business to the mail delivery person. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, my friend John Welch and I we were in the same building, and we developed a relationship with our FedEx person. We used to take our FedEx person out to lunch occasionally and found out that he had a desire to go and teach mathematics. He just had this love. He never got to fulfill that kind of dream of his. So we encouraged him, listened to him, really tried to support his action. In a few years, he left FedEx, and he's now teaching mathematics at a junior college, we believe, last we heard from him. So, a very small thing, but it all came down to just spending some time with that person and listening to them. Another experience I had with this idea of valuing every person, every idea, is we were in a meeting one time and we were trying to solve a problem, and it turns out that all these senior people who had a lot of experience were offering different ideas, and different people would take turns saying what they thought, but no one could come up with the idea on how to solve this particular problem. And I remember looking at this young person in the room who'd been quiet up until that time, and thinking of this value every person, every idea. And I asked her, I said, what do you think about this? And so she very shyly and reluctantly offered a suggestion of what she had thought. Well, the room was silent because we all realized that that was the answer. And we would not have heard it if we had not stopped to think, hey, everyone has something to offer here, from the youngest to the oldest. So it's a very concrete example of valuing people. It's amazing what people have to offer. Another idea we like to talk about in the company cube and in economy business is the idea. Let's see where it is. We'll find it. It's this side. It says first to help others, right? You notice that someone's helping someone else with a leg up. And the idea here is, you don't just think about something to do with someone else. You have to take the initiative. If you see something, immediately say your yes and reach out, help that person struggling, even if it's opening the door for someone coming in with a package at the company. I remember in particular one day our office was a mess, and the kitchen needing cleaning up. It had dirty dishes. People had not been taking care of their lunches. Trash was overflowing, and so I remember one day everyone went out to lunch and I was still left behind. This is when we were a small company of about 6 or 7 people. And I thought, I need to take the initiative. I need to kind of do this act of love for everyone and clean up the office. So while everyone was at lunch, I did the dishes. I cleaned out this refrigerator that was really gross. I swept the floor. I put stuff away. And when everyone came back from lunch, they were whispering like, what happened? Because it was obvious someone had been cleaning, and they eventually figured out it was the president of the company. And what happened after that was kind of amazing, because each person then looked at their own office space and began tidying it up and straightening things up. The copier room was cleaned up by someone. The next day, someone brought in cookies, and the whole atmosphere of the office had changed from kind of a stressful situation with lots of messiness to one in which people were calm. There was a certain calmness and sacredness in the air that people felt. It was tangible, and it really came from this idea of taking the initiative sometimes. So first, to help others. Another thing we like to focus on is the idea of supporting others with what? With action, not just words. You can see this one guy's holding up, or gal's holding up an umbrella and covering everyone else. So, it's one thing to say you're going to help people. It's another thing to actually do it and to show your concern with, an activity. Some of this is sometimes it's as small as bringing in some donuts or some vegetables from your garden to support, the community life within the company. In other times, it's really rolling up your sleeve and helping someone with a project or someone with a task that they have to get done. It's their deadline, and you're willing to spend time outside of your normal time to help them out. And those kind of little things add up incredibly. I can almost say that most of the things I remember about people, when people I've worked with over the years, is not so much these big, heroic things that they did, but it's those small kind of actions that they did to make my life in the business a lot easier. They came to my aid when there was a deadline. They brought something in to help me out. So it's those kind of things that really kind of weave this fabric of community in a company. Another thing I will kind of point to is this, and this is probably one of the most important things that I think, is this idea of sharing expertise, your expertise, time, and yourself. Well, what's that all about? Well, that's all about going to another level of just, instead of just sharing what's at the surface. When you share yourself, you really share a little bit of who you are as a person. And so the atmosphere in a company is not just about, this kind of transactional work we do. We get paid to do this. We sell a product. We build a widget. We're checking our time until the day's up and then we go home. It's about discovering who we are and sharing a bit of that with those around us. And that may be everything from family life to what you dream about or what gets you excited about in life. This sharing at a deeper level allows for this idea of someone else to share. Because when you're open, you're vulnerable, people tend to want to reciprocate, and it's that reciprocation that the magic happens, where a relationship is developed, and not just a superficial relationship, but something that is meaningful to your life. So share yourself, share your time. I can remember one time uh, I came in on a Monday morning, and I had 1,000 things to do, and I put on the computer, we had a little message board that told people what we were doing, if we were available or not. And I had on there, "Do not disturb," in capital letters, because I had a lot to do. Well, this one staff person came in, and she had not seen the sign. And at first in my head, I was thinking, didn't she see me say "do not disturb"? So that was like rolling around in my head. But then I thought, no, I have to kind of lose that. I have to give her some time, because she had just come back from the weekend and she was talking about her family. And I really had to put what I had in mind aside. And so we had this wonderful conversation. And then she looked around my office and she said, "Oh my gosh, you have a ton of stuff to do. Is there something I can do to help?" Well, turns out she left my office with like 4 stacks of stuff that I had been intending to do, and she was taking them off of my burden and going and working on those projects. So in the action of giving my time and listening to her, it also allowed her to see that I had some problems I needed help with and that she was going to help with. So that was this idea of time is one of the biggest challenges, because the work is a messy business. Every day things come flying at you: emails, phone calls, texts. It's even worse now than it was when I first started. So to try to find those pieces of time that you give someone else are really sacred. Sometimes it's even taking the time to send an email to a client or a colleague, just giving them some information or advice. So time is really important. And then, expertise. You're going to learn a lot in your job. You're going to become proficient at something, right? And sometimes people have a tendency to protect their livelihood by hoarding information, because then they become the secret keeper of something that's valuable to the company, and it could be seen as some job security, right? Oh, I know how to do this. Oh, John knows how to do this. Go and see him. But what we found in this atmosphere of sharing and worrying about the person is that everything is shared, and that the more we share, the more people share with us. So these company secrets or this expertise you have, if you share it with the people inside the company and with those around you, amazing things happen. And what happens is the company gets better at what they do. If someone's sick, someone else can pick up, because they know how to do something too. So this idea of sharing expertise is really, really valuable. So, one of the things I look at over the last 25 years, and this is the 25th year in business that we're in, is this idea of relationships. I look back, and that's what has value, not whether I, we were successful, not how much profits we made every year, or how big we grew, or even the projects that made us look outstanding. It's really those relationships that I was able to develop inside the company to create this kind of atmosphere where not only relationships between me and my employees happen, but also between them. Many times we have special events like birthday parties, um, or special occasions. Like one year we celebrated the World Cup with World Cup games for the company, where we invented games and we had teams. where we also go out with community events. Last year, where we live in Irvington, next to Indianapolis, very big into Halloween, and so we entered these coffin races where you race these crazy coffins you build and have a competition, and we won. And it was we participated with the rest of the community. And there's so many things we do with the community as part of the economy of community, and our employees know this, and they feel that the life that we develop inside the company, these relationships, spills out into the community. When we're strong, when we have a sense of who we are and who we are with each other, that those kind of things can be shared beyond the company. So anyway, I hope this kind of short kind of message kind of finds you well. When you're starting to work, relationships are what it's all about. And I know you may be there with a group of people, uh, young people that are thinking, what is this world of business all about? Well, it's about, obviously having a job, having a livelihood, but it's also about the relationships you're able to develop, and how much they mean. So hope this helps, and good luck on everything you're doing today.